can the forbidden love between a blind princess and the crown prince of their enemies truly break the curse? What happens when they defy the laws that could cost them their lives? Will their love be enough to unite their people? Or will the gods themselves stand in their way? Stay tuned to discover if the ancient prophecy will be fulfilled or if their fate is sealed forever. Story by B. Bless African Tales. In the time of great kingdoms, there were two mighty lands, Udua and Ajanga, and for as long as anyone could remember, these two kingdoms were sworn enemies. The kings of Udua and Ajanga never saw eye to eye, not because of anything they themselves had done, but because of a dispute long before their time, a feud between their fathers and their fathers' fathers, stretched back through the generations. This ancient bitterness had been passed down like an unshakable curse, one that neither kingdom dared to question. The laws of both kingdoms were clear. No one from Ajanga could visit Udua, and no one from Udua could set foot in Ajanga. The people were forbidden from crossing the boundaries that separated them, and the punishment for breaking these rules was severe. If anyone dared defy the laws, they would become living corpses, decaying, rotting, yet alive. This was the mark of the curse, and once the gods had spoken, no one could escape their wrath. Those who broke the laws were exiled to the evil forest, where none had ever returned alive. The kings of these two lands ruled with iron fists. King Eze, the ruler of Udua, was a proud and fierce man, known for his arrogance and unshakable pride. He had a beautiful wife, who was heavily pregnant with their first child, a princess. King Anayor, the ruler of Ajanga, was just as strong-willed, stubborn, and quick-tempered. His wife, also beautiful, had given him a son, young Ikenna, the crown prince. Unlike his father, Ikenna was gentle, obedient, and beloved by the people. Many said that he took after his mother with a kind and wise heart, the complete opposite of his father. The day came when Queen Eze, the wife of King Eze, was to give birth. The palace was in a frenzy, filled with anxiety and excitement. The air was thick with tension as the maidens rushed around, preparing for the arrival of the royal baby. King Eze paced nervously in his chambers, his thoughts racing as his chiefs gathered in silence. Then, as the heavens above roared with a fierce thunderstorm, the moment arrived. In the dim light of the palace, the midwife's voice echoed through the room. "Push with all your strength, Your Majesty," she said. "The baby is coming." And with that, a beautiful baby girl was born, crying loudly as she entered the world. Her eyes, however, were different. Her eyes were blue, but there was no spark of sight in them. The baby was blind. King Eze's heart broke as he took his daughter into his arms. His joy was shadowed by the shock of her blindness. He immediately summoned the chief priest to the palace. When the priest arrived, King Eze demanded the ancient scrolls, the ones passed down through generations. As the priest read the sacred words, he spoke with reverence and awe. "It is written that a special child would be born into the royal family of Udua. She will be born blind, but she will possess the eyes and ears of the gods. This child will break the curse between Udua and Ajanga, ending the feud that has lasted for centuries." King Eze marveled at the prophecy. This was the child foretold by the gods. He named her Ugana, meaning pride of the father, as she was the pride of his heart. Yet the king was troubled. He hid Ugonna from the world, keeping her inside the palace walls where she was sheltered and educated. The world beyond her kingdom was forbidden to her, though her heart longed to see it. As Ugonna grew older, she became more radiant, her beauty rivaling that of the brightest stars. But despite her beauty, Ugonna had an incredible gift. Though she was blind, her spiritual and physical senses were far beyond those of ordinary humans. She could feel the heartbeat of the earth, hear the whispers of the wind, and sense the movements of people and animals around her. She was special, and she knew it. However, despite her powers, her life remained confined within the palace. Ugonna, ever curious and brave, yearned to explore the world. One day, disguised as a maid, she sneaked out of the palace, taking only her walking stick and a small satchel with her. Her destination was the neighbouring kingdom of Ajanga. As Ugonna wandered through the dense forest near the riverbank, she heard the sound of hooves. A young man rode toward the river to drink. His name was Ikenna, the crown prince of Ajanga. The moment their eyes met, something stirred within both of them. It was as if the heavens themselves had brought them together. Ikenna had heard a beautiful voice singing, and when he followed the sound, he found Ugonna standing by the river, her clothes plain, her beauty undeniable. They spoke, their voices full of warmth and intrigue, and though neither knew the true identity of the other, they were drawn to each other. They began to meet in secret, in the quiet of the forest, where no one would find them. They had broken the laws of their kingdoms, yet the curse did not touch them. For they were the chosen ones, the ones who would break the ancient curse and heal the rift between Udua and Ajanga. Their connection was more than fate. It was divine. And so, in the silence of the forest, the seeds of peace were sown between two warring kingdoms. The gods had chosen Ugonna and Ikenna to bring about a new dawn, one where the boundaries of hate and fear could be crossed and a lasting peace could be built. The tale of Udua and Ajanga was about to change forever. As Ugonna, the princess of Udua, and Ikenna, the crown prince of Ajanga, continued to meet in secret, their bond grew stronger with each passing day. Though the world around them was filled with barriers, laws, rules, and curses, their connection felt destined, like two pieces of a puzzle that fit perfectly despite the odds. Each moment they shared was electric, filled with curiosity, the thrill of discovery, and the pull of something greater than themselves. Ugonna, with her blind eyes, could feel everything. The warmth of Ikenna's presence, the subtle shift in the air when he was near, the way his voice softened when he spoke to her. It wasn't just her heightened senses that drew her to him, though. It was the way he listened, truly listened to her. He saw beyond her blindness. He saw her heart, her spirit, her soul. Ikenna, in return, was captivated by Ugonna's strength. She was a princess, yes, but she wasn't confined by her royal title. She was brave, fierce, and unlike anyone he had ever met. Her kindness, her humility, and her deep wisdom shone through, leaving him in awe. But despite the undeniable attraction and affection they had for each other, they remained unaware of each other's true identities. They had broken the sacred rules of both kingdoms, sneaking away from their people, but the curse, the one that should have made them living corpses for their disobedience, had not touched them. This they could not explain, but they both felt an unexplainable pull to each other, one that went beyond love, beyond attraction. It was something spiritual. One evening, under the pale glow of the moon, as they sat by the riverbank, their conversation grew more profound. "Ikenna," Ugonna said softly, her voice barely above a whisper, "I feel like there's something greater than us at work. Our kingdoms, our families, everything is bound by something ancient, something beyond our control. But when I'm with you, I feel free, like the world could change. Ikenna's heart ached as he listened. I feel it too. The pull between us is more than just fate, Ugonna. It's like the universe itself is conspiring for us to be together. But how can this be? Our fathers, our kingdoms, they would never allow it. Ugonna's blind eyes seemed to see deeper than ever before. Then we must make them see, Ikenna. We must show them that this love, this connection, is the key to breaking the chains that bind us. With a mixture of love and desperation, they knew what had to be done. Their hearts, now fully entwined, were ready to face the world and their parents. The time had come to reveal the truth of their feelings. The journey back to their respective kingdoms was filled with uncertainty and fear. Ugonna, knowing that her father, King Eze, was a man of great pride, was nervous about his reaction. King Eze was a man who lived by his own rules, a man who would never bend. But Ugonna, determined to change the course of history, gathered her courage. She arrived at the palace, her heart pounding, and made her way to her father's chambers. "Father," she began, her voice unwavering, "I have found love, not in Udua, but in Ajanga. I have found Ikenna, the prince of Ajanga, and I wish to marry him. Our love can break the curse that binds our kingdoms, that has torn our families apart for generations. The time for hatred and division is over." King Eze's eyes blazed with fury, his face reddening with anger. His voice boomed in the room. "You dare? You, my daughter, would betray our kingdom for the son of our enemy? You will not marry him. You will not marry the enemy of Udua." Ugonna, though shaken by her father's wrath, stood her ground. "Father, it is not betrayal. It is a chance to heal what has been broken for centuries. It is a chance to bring peace to our people." In the kingdom of Ajanga, Ikenna stood before his father, King Anaya, and spoke the same words. "Father, I wish to marry Ugonna. She is the one I love, and I believe that through our union we can end the division between our kingdoms." King Anaya's eyes narrowed, his anger boiling over. "You would bring shame to our kingdom by marrying the daughter of Udua? A marriage with them is forbidden. You have no right to speak of such a thing." But Ikenna, with his gentle and calm demeanor, stood firm. "I am not asking for permission. I am telling you that this is the path we must take." Despite their children's pleas, both kings were consumed by pride and stubbornness. They could not bear the thought of their children marrying the enemy. And so they turned to their chief priests for guidance. In a grand ritual, both priests called upon the gods, praying for a sign, for clarity. The gods answered. The priests spoke with reverence. The gods have already written this destiny. Ugonna and Ikenna are the chosen ones. Their union is the key to breaking the curse. It is written that the two must marry at the boundary, where the kingdoms meet, and in doing so, the curse will be lifted. At first, both kings refused to accept the gods' decree. They were unwilling to admit that their children could be the ones to heal their land. Their pride would not allow it. But after days of consultation, reflection, and prayer, they finally relented. Their children's love was stronger than their hatred. The decision was made. The wedding would take place. But the gods had one final command. "The wedding must happen at the boundary," the chief priest declared. "It must be where the two kingdoms meet. Only there will the curse be broken." And so, with the blessings of the gods, the wedding was planned. But the location was far from what one would expect for a royal wedding. It wasn't in a grand palace or a majestic hall. No, the wedding took place at the laundry roadside where the lands of Udua and Ajanga met. It was a humble place, but the gods had said it must be so. The people of both kingdoms despite their king's reluctance, gathered at the boundary. There, under the watchful eyes of the gods, Princess Ugonna and Prince Ikenna stood, hand in hand, as the vows were exchanged. The air was thick with spiritual energy, and as they kissed, a great wave of power surged through the land. The curse that had bound their kingdoms for centuries shattered in that very moment. As the people of Udua and Ajanga looked on, something miraculous happened. Ugonna's sight was restored. The blind princess, who had lived her life in darkness, could now see clearly. But more than that, she could see beyond what others saw. She could see the future. She could read the hearts of others, and her spiritual gifts unfolded like a blooming flower. The blessings of the gods flowed through her, and she became a living symbol of hope and renewal for both kingdoms. The once divided lands of Udua and Ajanga now stood united. The curse that had kept them apart for centuries was broken. The people rejoiced, their hearts filled with peace and unity. And so, Princess Ugonna and Prince Ikenna, the once forbidden lovers, became the rulers of a united land. Their love had not only healed their kingdoms, but had given them a new future, a future where love, understanding, and peace reigned, not pride, hatred, and division. The story of Ugonna and Ikenna became a legend, passed down through generations, a tale of how love, even in the face of great adversity, could heal wounds older than time itself. If this story touch you in any way, kindly click on the subscribe button and share it with someone.